The 8 whats to get more listings. Today I'm joined by Jason Cannon, who is an ex-estate agent, worked for some of the biggest firms in the UK, now is an estate agency coach. And he is here to talk to me about the 8 whats that will get you more listings. Jason, thanks for joining me today. Tell me, what are the 8 whats? Talk to me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Chris. So I talk about this quite a lot as a consultation with a client, a needs analysis. We go back to our days in agency and we were told to register every person that we came in contact with. I dislike the word registration. It's reminds me of school, hands up. So I talk about this process, whether you're taking an applicant, whether you're talking to a client seller, whether you're, in my case, working with a coaching client. I go through a process of generally 5 to 8 questions. So what do you want?
That's the first one.
Yeah. What do you want from this conversation? What do you want from your estate agent? What do you want from this job? What do you want? Property purchase.
So this is not just listings, this is just about anything.
Any consultation, any conversation.
So what do you want from this conversation?
Yeah.
That's interesting, because when someone rings me, I always say, what do you want to get out of this phone call?
Yeah. What's your outcome focus? What ultimately do you want? So what do you want from the conversation? What makes you want it? Establish some motivation there.
That's a little bit of a why, isn't it, if you think about it?
But don't use why, because why is a bit too confrontational. So what works much better? What time scale do you need to work to? You, not me. So again,
That's interesting.
You're digging into the motivation a bit more there. What are the consequences of this thing that you want? What are the consequences of this not happening?
That was number 4, was it?
That was number 4.
What's number 5?
What one thing won't you compromise on?
So you're asking the what, why, how questions, which is pretty page 1 stuff.
Yeah.
But you're framing it in a certain way that means that you're not being confrontational, and you're putting it all back in the court of the person.
Yeah.
And what is quite a soft of the questions, isn't it?
Yeah. It's for me, it's about being curious. It's not making assumptions about what the person wants, because I think in agency we do that too much. Yeah. Oh, you're a first-time buyer. Oh, you want a 1-bedroom house or 1-bedroom flat. We make assumptions, don't we?
It reminds me very much of the way doctors deal with you, is that it's almost on a consultative basis.
Yeah.
Is that the angle? I hate that word, but
yes, most definitely. Yeah.
And why do you think estate agents do that? What you're looking for? How many bedrooms do you want? When do you want to move?
I think because we believe that that's the right way to do it. I think we believe we've always done it that way. So why would we change it? We're scared of change. We don't like change. And when you introduce something new and something different that requires a bit more skill and a bit more patience, then very often the perception is we don't have the time to do that.
It reminds me very much of Maslow's hierarchy, about that you're talking to them and finding out what they want, because if memory says, what's the top thing that on Maslow's triangle that everyone wants? I can never remember. Is it not understanding or being...
Well, they want to be understood.
Want to be understood.
Yeah, first and foremost.
And the way you ask because people get judged on the questions they ask, not on the statements they make, but it's all about making the right questions.
Yeah.
So you're saying that these 5 whats in that order, as long as your motivation and intent behind it is correct, will get you the answers you need to help you get more listings, more FS appointments, well, more of everything.
Yeah. So this is what's going to happen, and this is why it's going to happen. What motivates me as your agent, or what motivates me as your coach, is to understand you. And humans have a desire to be understood, don't they? So what's important to me is to find out what's important to you, Chris. So can I take you through a process that's going to help me to understand you better?
Now, at the start of the video, I said there was 8, and you've given me 5.
Yes.
Okay. the next three, are they optional what's?
Yeah, I think sometimes we're going to get a barrier with some people. They're going to be less inclined to give you those answers. They're going to be more guarded, perhaps.
I mean, would you know what you just said about I want to understand you more?
Yes.
So I want so you I you know I can understand what you want. That might put people. Would you actually say that up front before you started asking the questions, or would you just say you'd start off softly with the first what?
I think again, it depends on the person. So play back the language to them. So get a feel for that person quickly. We make that judgment within a few seconds at the start of a conversation. But typically, if you're an agent, 99 out of 100 times, you're taking a call from a prospective buyer inquiring about one property. So they're used to giving you information, aren't they? There's
Yes,
an
they are.
expectation that they're going to be asked some questions.
And it's the way you approach those questions and the way you ask it which are going to give you the answers you want as an agent.
Yeah, yeah. And we know that people they want to be understood. And until you've given them what they want, then you don't have the right to ask for what you want. That would be the way I would frame that.
That's how all human relationships work, isn't it?
Yeah. But we don't. As an agent, we say, right, what do you want? Oh, you're looking to buy a property. And then we take them through the spiel of making assumptions based on what the last person asked for, or what the last 100 people have asked for, or what we've been told by somebody in a training scenario to ask.
Talk to me about these three extra what's that are there as a backup.
What won't you get if you get what you want? Now, it's a bit convoluted because sometimes we think we know what we want, but by asking, what won't you get, Chris? So you describe this ideal property to me. You tell me what you won't compromise on, but actually, is there something that you won't get with this move? So there's a bit of psychology here.
Yep, go for it.
Because very often we think we know what we want, and is it a want or is it a need? By asking that question, actually, by moving to X location and buying Y property, is that really going to get you what you want?
Ah.
Yeah, so there's a bit of you're adding some emotion to that question.
Because they might want to move to the other side of town, but if you've known why it's because of a certain school, you could say, are you aware that you need to be moving in this part of the town if you want to be in the catchment area for that school?
Yeah. And also, typically, with most purchases, you're dealing with two people, aren't you? And this conversation that you and I are having is a person-centered approach to that conversation, very much. But if there's someone else that's going to be part of that decision making, is that what you want? Will that get the other person what they want as well?
Okay, that's interesting. I'm gonna look forward to looking back at this video and listen to what you have to say then, because that's one of those things that I have to reflect on. Well, that was number 6. What's number 7?
Okay. What do you need help with?
These are really open questions, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
But these are you're not going to use these all the time, are you?
No. You're going to judge it based on, very often people just want to be off the phone very, very quickly. So you might only ask 4 or 5 of those questions.
But if they're face to face,
you're going to ask them all. 100%. If I'm sat down with a vendor on a consultation, talking to them about their needs, then I'm going to go through all of those questions.
So what else can I? No, what else?
Or specifically, what can I help you with? You talked me through what you want. What can I help you with?
So instead of saying like that could be FS or it could be solicitors.
Yeah.
And by asking the question and shutting your gob.
Yeah.
Then you're leaving the ball in their court, and there might be an awful silence, but then they might come up and say, "Well, we're actually a bit worried about our mortgage."
Yeah. All the time you're having this conversation, you're taking notes, you're nodding. You're asking for confirmation of that answer to the question, and then when you've gone through that whole process, then you're going to say to that person, right, can we just go back through some of these answers again, just to really dig deep on.
You're not going to do that at the end, are you? Are you going to be doing that almost as you go?
Yeah. Yeah.
After every question or after every couple of questions?
Probably after every couple of questions. Yeah.
So ask a couple of questions, review. Ask a couple of questions, review. Ask the fifth one, review. And then you still got 6, 7, and 8 in your bag if it's appropriate to ask, and more likely face to face.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the 8th and final what?
Final question. What's missing? What didn't I ask you?
Oh, I like that. Because we're very assumptive, aren't we, as agents?
Yeah, yeah. And maybe they'll volunteer something that is way outside of what you think they might ask you.
And if you ask the question and they remain silent, can you prompt them, or do you just keep your mouth shut?
Keep your mouth shut.
That's quite hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah, you can nod and you can make some noises. You know, a bit of body language there to encourage a bit more.
They're wonderful questions to ask, aren't they?
Really powerful, really simple, really powerful.
Could you almost print them out and have it on your...
Yeah. One of the things that I say to agents that they should do is they should have an agenda, because, you know, agents are typically very good at talking to people. They talk too much. They don't ask enough questions. Fact. And a seller's got, you know, I call them wah-wahs. So a seller's going to have lots of wah-wahs in their head, and you as the great agent need to be in control of that. So what is it you want to talk to me about today, Chris? Let's get those out. What's important that we cover before I leave today, Chris? And I'll get those down on an agenda. Okay, we'll cover that. I'll write the question down. We'll get that covered off today, promise you. What else? I'll get that covered off today. And it also helps you get out the 2 things that you know they want to know. Price and fee. Okay, so yes, acknowledge it. We'll go through that, and we'll go through that. But what it does is it helps you do it in the right order.
The right order for you.
The right order for you, controlling the conversation.
Jason, that's been absolutely insightful. Thank you very much for what you've said today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Chris.